Let's talk a little bit about fawning and the abuse cycle and how fawning comes about. So for somebody who's been abused, they either go into fight, flight, or freeze. And then there's fawning. Fawning was overlooked for a long time. They didn't consider it part of it until later on. Fawning, that's kind of where I got stuck. That's where entertainers get stuck. That are a lot of times people who were abused will try to appease the abuser by pacifying them through things they say or do. So if you know your abuser's coming and there's nothing you could do to stop them, sometimes you could try to agree with them. Sometimes you try to pretend you look up to them as some type of, I don't know. I mean, this one's extreme. That's not me. I can't really put something to it on that part. But with fawning, you try to appease your abuser. You might try to entertain them. You might try to give them jokes. You know, you see them coming. You know they're going to abuse you. You know it. So you start thinking to yourself, what can I do to distract them from abusing me? So you start becoming an entertainer. You start learning how to sing and dance because they like this. It entertains them. And they don't beat you as much, or they don't shit talk you as much, or they don't program you as much, or they try to pretend they're not handling you as much. See, people want control over your life, and you have to keep it. It's a spiritual battle. The warfare it's in the mind. Who rules your mind? Can't let outside influences do it, but I gotta stop acting like it's okay for an abuser to abuse, because we also, as people who fawn, you tend to try to make excuses even for the abusers on why it was okay that they did what they did, although it's not. So fawning, you know, as a child, that was one I used a lot. When I seen that I was going to get abused or hit or locked in a room or some type of psychological punishment or whatever it would be, I knew if I started, okay, what can I do to entertain her and distract her? Person is coming at me right now. I'm watching my abuser come towards me. I, in my mind, have to set a stage, a whole new world that I have to create in my mind and then project it out to entertain you. It's fucked up. You see the warped mentality of that? So a person who's being abused will try to act like it's okay and appease them and pacify them so that they hope if they entertain this abuser enough that maybe the abuser won't do it. Maybe you could entertain them enough so that they don't hurt you. Keep dancing, keep singing, keep learning so you could teach and be entertaining to people and of some type of use. I don't know. Fawning is overlooked. Don't allow your situation that you're in right now take over your mind. The outside world is not your soul, regardless of where you're at, regardless of if you're happy, if you're sad, if you're home, if you're out. Your soul is always with you. Nobody else. So you could run. See, that's another thing people will do is they'll try to run from abuse by fleeing to a different state, a different country, a different lifestyle. You know, they change their hair. They try to do all these things different. But did they really, truly have time to learn, understand what happened, absorb it, deal with the situation, then come to a point where they were able to have forgiveness and move on from that situation? and then change. Change takes time. It takes work. It is not easy. It's an ugly process. It's dark because you got to deal with the darker side of you. You have to acknowledge it, or else you're a liar and you're deceiving yourself. Don't do it. Fawning. You see your abuser and you don't know how to get away. You don't even want to be near them. You want to get away, but you know you can't, because they'll do something somehow in some way to make your situation worse. So people often will stay. You know, they'll see their abuser daily or not. Or it could just be a mental memory of the abuser that they see daily. It depends. If you're in active abuse, please get out. Please get out. For people who are still mentally abused in their dome because they have all these thoughts and memories that they don't know how to deal with because it hurts so bad they can't process the shit, so they put it off. Can't do that, you guys. It's just going to build up, build up, build up, and it's going to come out at some point. Deal with the shit. Get it over with. Don't ignore it. And then move forward. We're in this together. Fawning is something I think I want to do a video on. I want to read on it a bit and then talk about it, because I know a little bit on it. Plus, I've lived through it, so I mean, I'm able to speak on it to a small, well, to a small degree, because I've lived it. But everybody's life is different. Although our soul hopefully is the same, our life of where we grew up is different. So we might want the same things in our soul, but we go about them in a different way because of the environment we were born to. People who are being abused often don't even know it's abuse. I didn't know I was being abused when I was young. I didn't know anything else. So someone who was brought up by people who didn't work and were con artists and hustlers, you learn a certain lifestyle. But I chose not to be a product of my environment. See, and so watching those people and what happened to them as they go to prison or die or have terrible things happen to them, and then they wonder why. Well, let's look at your life path. If we're living in the book of Revelations and we're watching people fall, you know, that should make you take heed. You know, in the end days, like with the virgins, with the oil lamps, you don't want to be one of the 5 that's not lit. You don't want to be the one that, you know, it comes time for the reaper to come for your soul and for you to go home and you aren't prepared. So you gotta push through it. Keep the faith. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. But we gotta push through it. Fawning, appeasing the abuser is not okay. Or fawning by keeping it in your own mind and you appeasing the trauma that happened to you just to pacify it and get yourself by in that moment. You're going to have to eventually deal with it. I don't know fully where I'm going with this video. It's kind of random as I'm walking. I'm just sharing. But I do want to look up a bit more on the fawning process. Because, you know, with the reptilian brain, you have the fight, flight, or freeze mode, as we've talked about and I've done videos on. And fawning is one that I'm curious to see. Some people don't think that it counts, but medical professionals say it does. I believe it does, because that's what I found I did when I was being abused, oftentimes, because I've been abused all my life by different people. Well, up until years back. I can't say all my life. I take that back for a good majority of it, but not anymore. They still try. I still have situations where people would like to try to pull my string, get me to use the key. But just because I have it doesn't mean I have to use it. See, with much power comes much responsibility. So just because I may have the key to the pit doesn't mean I have to use it. See, because I know in my mind, because I have the Holy Spirit, and I pray you guys do too. I pray you guys were also able to see COVID coming in advance. I did. I seen it years in advance, and I've told people, because you know what, like I've said in other videos, a soothsayer can never, ever, 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 ever outdo a prophet, because a prophet is someone from God, God sent. A prophet's not going to be wrong. A soothsayer has to rely on other means. So their information is not as accurate. Because when you're working with the lower spirits, they have hierarchies. So they could only operate within that specific dominion. See, but when you operate above all that, you are in charge of it all. You're above all of it. You're in charge of yourself. You're in charge of not operating in the lower levels. Sometimes my words sound kind of funky. Like sometimes when I say to people like, oh man, I'm gonna kill this motherfucker. You know, I talk like that. But people who know me know what I'm saying is verbally, not literally, verbally. Because the word of God, the work it out of your mouth, the things we say have power, right? So if you're putting out positive, you're helping build something. If you are being negative, you are literally helping to destroy something. Agregory thought. That's why I try not to think negative shit about people, because, you know, the more negative thoughts that are pushed at a person, the more spirits are going to push for that person to have whatever that ill effect was. I don't operate in those dimensions. I know them, but I don't operate in them. See, because there's hierarchies in demonology, and they have to operate within their jurisdiction, because they believe they have legal jurisdiction and domain, because people have opened up a gateway and given a foothold. So then the devil says, well, you opened this door, so you gave us permission. See, the devil can't do anything without telling us. And as a prophet, I know this. God tells us before the devil does what he does. See, we could see the plans of the enemy in advance. See, there might be numbers, there might be a checkerboard, there might be a plan in place. But you know what? When you got God, you could even see that and above. It's not about teaching demonology or bad negative things. That's not my goal, because I know in my videos sometimes they'll sound negative in tone. But what I'm trying to do is reverse the negative energy or thought behind it, because that gives it power. So for instance, if I'm making something up, there's a tree right here. Let's just say you tripped and you fell over this tree stump coming up, and it hurt really bad, and it caused you so much pain and grief. And then, you know, you get stuck on it. You have this memory now. Every time you pause at that spot where you seen that you had fallen and taken that tumble, it fucking still hurts. And every time you pass it, subconsciously, it's still in your mind that you fell there. Something negative happened, right? But if you're not dealing with it by changing it, what's going to happen? You continue the cycle. So I'm trying to reverse it. Where I see the negative, where I see that tree stump that I may have fallen in front of, I laugh. I change that thought and I say, man, that was a funny moment. You know, I'm so glad I didn't really get hurt. It really just taught me this lesson. Pay more attention to what I'm doing and where I'm walking. Walk a narrow path. Pay attention. Don't lose focus. And that is success. That tree stump that was cut down, that I may have tripped over, has now changed the memory behind it to something positive. I don't want to keep the negativity inside. I want to heal. I want you guys to heal. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a professional technically. You know, yeah, I used to be a member of HOSA, which is Health Occupation Students of America, and I worked a bit in the medical field. And I also know, like, the entertainment side and some others. So, I mean, I have a general idea, maybe a little bit above a general. Let me not joke. A general would be a rank. Never mind. Never mind. Okay, sometimes I gotta catch myself. I try to be funny and make jokes. I talk about things that are hard and hurtful, but I do it in little tiny bits and make jokes through it so that I could help us grasp it, understand what happened, deal with that tiny bit because it hurts so bad. Deal with it. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Feel it deeply. And then you can't get any worse. Then you let it go. It can't harm you anymore when it's at its max. So you break through that. You have a revelation, you break through and get the fuck out the shit. This is our breakthrough. See, while we're living in the book of Revelations and we're watching people die from the virus and other things, and we're still standing, doesn't that show you God's grace? Doesn't that show you that you must still have purpose here and that you were put here for a divine purpose for this specific time right now? Sometimes you might even feel like you're worthless. You're not worthless. You wouldn't be here right now unless you had a purpose. Don't fawn. Don't say it's okay for abusers to abuse you. Don't keep a mental abuse in your head from the past that's been holding you back. Because you're not in trauma anymore, but you got the PTSD like a motherfucker. Man, you got to get in there and then get it out. So that tree stump that I tripped over, when I look at it now, I see it grow. I'm going to watch that tree grow. Because it's still alive. It's still breathing. It still receives water and nutrients in the earth, just like us. So what I see is growth. I see a change and I see growth. So that's my goal. And that's my goal for you guys too, is kind of along my journey, maybe as I change and grow, maybe it could help you in a way. No fawning, you guys. For you who are appeasing and entertaining your abusers so that they no longer abuse you, find a way out. Find a way out. You got this. Don't give up. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up on you. You got this. I'm not giving up on you. I know you can do it. You have divine purpose. You're standing here right now when you're watching this. You're still in your flesh suit, but you are a spiritual being. You are not your body. You are not your circumstance. You may have done things in your life that you fucking hate, and you can't get over it because you have guilt. You could get over it. You could change your ways. There's still time. We're standing here right now. So while we're living through the book of Revelations and the apocalypse, we're not going to die. We're going to see a new birth. You just have to be willing to grow and change and learn and accept the truth within you. Okay, you guys, I have talked enough. I will hopefully get some feedback. I don't know. It's sometimes hard to post these because they're very raw. I don't plan them. I just go with what's in my spirit at that time and hope that it touches whoever it's supposed to touch. All right, you guys. I love you all. I really do. Everybody's super dope to me. Everyone has their role. I believe we all signed up for this before we even came to Earth. Even our enemies. They even signed up and knew. But they knew it's only to a certain degree because they can't kill you. Because God, if He is the one who rules your life, He died for our sins so we wouldn't have to. See, His blood covers us. So even with the CV... and the shot, remember in the end days that they say about the Christians and the getting shot, and then there's luciferon in the shot, which has, the bioluminescence in it. But that's nothing new. That's old. But it makes you glow. But it also makes you easier as an antenna, because when they mix that with a little bit of toxoplasmosis and a few other things, man, are people controllable. Have you seen my video on toxoplasmosis? Elon Musk talked about it on the 4th of July, too. Tahuti is the one who reminded me from Killer Priest's podcast. He had brought up toxoplasmosis briefly one day, and it made me really remember, like, oh shit, Kat, not monarch programming, but beta programming, sex beta programming. Yeah. And then people who are abused, who are entertainers, they become entertainers and have handlers and stuff. Okay, seeing some stuff here. I don't know. I'm just happy to be free, enjoying nature, not going through any dark tunnels. My life is a journey. Yours is too. Don't waste it. I love you.